Hello everyone. I am today going to be doing something just a little bit different. But first I wanted to maybe show you how I measure my paints. I do something a little different and I think a little easier, excuse me, to measure my paints. Today I'm going to be trying out the US Art Supply Professional Bright Opaque Color Acrylic Paint. That's what it says. We're going to try it out, see how it works. They are all metallics, which I love, so I just want to see how they work. Now, because they are all opaque, I'm not expecting many cells without help, so I am going to use a couple of drops of my Unicorn Art Silicone. Beautiful colors, no matter what they're called. So we are going to try to use these and see how they perform. And how I do my measuring is just a little bit different than anything that I've seen. I have my water that I don't end up drinking. I save it to use in my paintings. It's better than our tap water here. So what I'm going to do is I am going to actually mix 2 parts water. I'm sorry. What I'm actually going to do is mix 2 parts pouring medium to 1 part paint, because that paint is very, very thick. So I'm going to start out with 2 parts water here, and I have my tablespoon measure, and I'm just going to take my Sharpie, my fine tip Sharpie, and I'm going to, I know you can't see this, but at the water level, let me see if I can get that, I make a little mark. And then I just go, and from one cup to the other, I just make my mark. And you can do this with ounces, or whatever you want your 1 part or 2 parts to be. I'm starting out with 2 parts just because I want 2 parts of my pouring medium to 1 part of my paint. So that is going to go in the bottom of the cup first to help keep that paint from sticking to the bottom. It helps with mixing. There we go. We have our 2 parts. And I don't know why I just did that. Let's start over. Got our 2 parts. I actually spilled a little bit of that, and I want to make sure that it's even. 2 parts water, and my 1 part paint is going to add that little bit of extra. And I do it this way because it is very hard. These cups are tapered. Very hard to eyeball it. So add my second mark here for my 1 part. And just go through your cups one at a time. Try a little line. This is easier, faster, and less cleanup than using my scoops or measures or scale. I don't have to keep washing spoons or anything like that. And then the rest will just be, I don't want to use Floetrol in this because it does tend to dry matte. So I'm going to just use water to thin. Just dump that little bit down the sink. Cap back on my bottle. And I just have my regular water here, and that is how I do my measurements. So if you can see, oh, that's kind of hard to see here. If you can see those little marks there. This is going to be my medium. And this is going to be my paint. I am doing something a little different. That's why I'm going for a little bit heavy on the paint side, because we're actually going to be getting 2 paintings out of this. I will be right back after I mix my paints, and we will go from there. Alright guys, we are back, and I thought I would just show you. I have my medium in the bottom there. My little way. This is very thick paint. It's not going to be possible to pour it in, so I just use 2 I don't know if you guys can see that. Let me move just a little closer. 2 little popsicle sticks to my big one's going to be my stirring stick, and I just keep adding little globs of paint until my Floetrol reaches my other line. This is definitely a lot of paint here. I might actually need another canvas. I do have another canvas just in case the 2 that I'm planning on making, just in case I have enough paint for another one. Always have another canvas on standby so that you don't end up wasting paint. You can always do another pour. Maybe modify your technique a little bit. So far this paint is mixing okay. I'm getting some lumps and globs in there that don't mix in and break up very easily. I'm smushing it against the sides, trying not to add air. Now I'm doing something a little different than a pour, so I'm probably going to leave it just a hair thicker than I would for a pour. And again, I'll let you know what exactly I'm doing as soon as I get all these mixed. Oh, for my base coat, I am going to be using a Liquitex white, sort of a base coat. That'll make more sense in a few minutes. I'll finish this up and then we'll get to it. All right, guys. I think you're ready. I'll show you the consistencies here first. My white base coat is pretty much the consistency that I would use. I don't know if you can see that. For a pour, that's right on. My colors are just a little thicker. There's a slight mound forming on those. And I just tried very, very hard to get them all the same. Just slightly, a slight mound there with all of those. And to my colors only, not my white. Just, well, this bottle doesn't like to do drops, so about 2 to 3 drops I'm going to guesstimate with my drizzle here. This is a thicker silicone, so it does not want to do individual drops very well. That's okay. Just gonna fold this in a couple of times. It is a little on the thicker side as far as the silicones and oils go. It's much thicker than the Blaster silicone and my coconut oil mist that I like to use. But since my paint is a little thicker, I thought maybe I would be better off using a thicker silicone. And again, these are all opaques, so I thought I would definitely need something to help hopefully make a few cells anyway. I'm really going to fold that in a few times. Let's check it here. And these colors really are beautiful. They really, really are. And now for my master plan here was to kind of do, not really a dip, but a sandwich. And I almost forgot a very important step, and that is your spray bottle with water. At the corners, you really want to make sure that is nice and tight on you. Otherwise, the paint might come out all floppy and dipped in the middle. I really want to get those corners Everything's nice and tight in there. Wipe off the extra. I'm just going to kind of shake it and try to even that on the inside of my frame there. Let me spread that out. There's a little bit better. Maybe another little spritz on the inside. Wipe it to spread it evenly. A little better. Let's go this way. And this is the panel that I'm going to sandwich my paints with. Now on this I did a base coat of, set this down here gently, of my Liquitex water-based spray paint. This says it's compatible with acrylics, low odor. However, it is still extremely flammable. This is dry now, so it's okay, but after you spray this, when it's wet, no matter what you're mixing it with, please do not torch it. Be very, very careful with a heat gun. This has dried for about 4 days, so I'm good on that. The aerosol should all be gone out of it. But the reason I'm using this was just basically a test board for my spray paints when they got here. However, let me see if I can get this in here where you guys can see it. This painting is very much warped. And I knew it was warped when I did the base coat, but it was mainly a test for the base coat. I wanted to see how opaque it was, whether it would hold up well, the coverage that you get. This is just the one coat. So I'm going to do my pouring my paints on my canvas. And then, since I'm doing my base coat, my white base coat on this one, I wanted to use one that already has a base coat on it, so that when I smush it down, whatever comes up is going to be my second painting. And this one is going to be the one that pours over the sides. So we are going to see how that goes. I have big hopes for this one, guys. And because I did have such a hard time with my colors, I do think I am going to pour through my strainer. I hope that doesn't interfere with our results too much. This is kind of a different type of pour. So first, I am going to try not to knock anything over here. I am a huge klutz. I don't know if you have any clumsy people in your lives, but they would have to work very hard to compete with me. Go ahead and subscribe. I promise you eventually you will get a laugh at my expense. I'm just going to set that down there. Sorry if you hear all the noise in the background, guys. It seems like I'm always asking everybody to be quiet for one of my videos. And with my painting channel, I didn't think that would be fair. I don't think this is quite necessary to have super silence in the house. As long as nobody's hooting and hollering. My doggies holler constantly. No respect, I tell you. Alright, we're just spreading this out. I'll tell you what, guys, I definitely have a new respect for anyone that regularly talks to a camera on YouTube or otherwise, because it is not as easy as some of those people make it seem. I do just want to make sure I get my sides just in case the paints don't quite make it that far. little bit thinner of a, well, this would be about the consistency of one of my pours. It's thinner than the paints that I'm going to be using for the actual pour though. Get this on there. There's plenty on here. I wanted to make sure I got good coverage for this and had some extra on top to mix with my colors. I'm just going to go around and really make sure this is good. I might even blowtorch some of these bubbles out of the base coat. I do see an awful lot. Make sure that's good and covered. Try to level it out here. All right. Okay. And I'm not worried about the little bit of white that's in my little strainer here. That'll just add a little bit of character. Make sure we recenter this. I'm gonna have to start taping these down. They like to slide on my plastic. All right, what next? A little bit of blowtorch action, I think. Oh, come on, guys. Okay, where are we gonna start? I think we're just gonna start somewhere. I do really like this color. Really love these metallics. I'm just spreading it all over. Don't worry about what goes over the side. There is a lot more that is going to go over the side. When we press it. I like this technique because you end up getting, with your base coat, a lot of lacing with that. I really am glad I use this strainer, guys, because I am seeing a lot that it's catching, a lot of the little... All right. There's a big piece of paint in there that... Don't lose it. This canvas is absolutely full of paint. I really probably could have gotten, let's go a little bit more, could have gotten a whole nother canvas out of this, but I did not want to have too little here. All right, into my soapy water you go immediately. All right, sorry about the glare. I do have my other canvas right here, and I will definitely show you that. I don't think I can zoom out anymore, but maybe I can get you in here. All right. Let's pull it up, and we're gonna go for it. Now I'm just gonna drop it right on top. I'm actually going to use my smaller size here. which I can actually go ahead and get right in there and really press some of that extra paint out. Right into the corners here. I don't want a lot, I don't want too much extra left on my canvas here, because then it will crack as it dries, and this is going to be the tricky part. How am I going to do this? I think I will go like this. Pull it apart and over. And that actually missed a spot right in the middle here. And I'm going to go a little bit over here where it tends to be, I'm feeling it's a little bit more. I'm not sure how this one's going to come out, guys. I'm glad I just used a practice test / test canvas for this second one. This one's turning out very neat. There's always one stubborn bubble. Come on out of there. Sometimes you gotta flick them. They just... Let's go ahead and rattle it. I just want to move this one around a bit. See if we can get some of that extra. I'm not too worried about the sides. Like I said, it's got that base coat on it. I'm just going to do a thin little rubbing of it over. Use some of the paint that's on the... It is kind of going to make a little bit of mud on the sides, but it is just the sides. I'm not too worried about those. Just end up looking like a metallic border here, I think. I'm going to move that just a little bit so I can get this other side. A little test here. We'll see what we get, what we end up with. Definitely see do wish you could buy some less expensive canvases that were not warped almost past redemption. I'm going to prop that up here just a tad with a popsicle stick because it does seem to be lower on this side. I'm getting pooling over here and bare canvas over that way. So we're going to see if that helps the situation a little bit. Bring that back to center. Just a bit. I am not minding the patches of bare canvas on this. I think the next time I try this, I am going to try it without silicone. We'll see how this one comes out. I think it might be better without silicone just because I can see where, and I'll bring you guys down in a little bit and show you, but I can see where the bare canvas is, but it's not so bad because I do have that base coat on, that blue base coat. So once it dries, it is not going to be as noticeable as if I just use a plain white canvas. Let's get going on this guy here. Let's see if we can't move some of this down. I do have a lot on here. Boy, these metallics are really beautiful. They remind me a lot of my primary elements, if that tells you anything about how beautiful they are. Love my primary elements, by the way. They are expensive. Oh no, and there goes my light. Wake up. They are expensive, but they do go a long way. Let's get you down over here. Come on down. Just let that bubble right over the side. Do want to come back with this. I don't want to lose all of those colors off of here. Bring that back and then come on down to the other side, the other corner. Don't think I need to lose very much more off of here though. Just sort of touching the paint on the sides. Let's go back. And then we'll torch it again. Bubbles. Make sure there's no bubbles on the sides. Get that down that way a little bit. Pop up some of that air that might be lurking underneath the surface. I was debating whether or not to use some Rain-X on this, but I don't think I am going to. I really want to see how this dries. This one could definitely use a little more spreading just to try to even it out just a tad. Oh, I dripped onto the other one. The more I move this around, the more I'm liking it. I'm wondering if I should move the other one around like this because it is not making mud. What this is doing is acting very much like the primary elements and just really coming in along very nicely. Get you back. Really need to cover some of those divots, level it out. It's coming along. Just trying to even the top a little bit more than it was. I know there's a risk because of how warped it is that it's going to dry not so level, but that's alright. This was kind of a bonus canvas anyway. Wasn't even going to use it, then I got this idea. To do a, what would you call this, a press paint, almost a press or a dip. And I'm going to leave that. Alright guys, I'm going to show you my first press, pour and press. This one was, I'll show you how these dried out. This one was the warped that I had pressed on top, and even that one came out pretty neat. I'm not sure if I am going to be varnishing this one just because of the warp. I do like it. I cannot get that warp out. It's really twisted. But that really came out quite nice with the metallics. A much smaller pattern there. This one I'm quite pleased with. This was the bottom of my press, and the metallics on that are very beautiful. I'm very impressed with this paint set by the U.S. Art Supply. I'm very impressed with this. These are the metallics, the 8 metallics that come with that. I'm quite pleased with those paints. I love the metallic sheen that you get with it. Reminds me a lot of my primary elements. It's not quite as blingy as the primary elements. I am actually going to see how they mix together. If I can do a paint pour with some of these paints and some of my primary elements. I'm going to be doing that next. I love this painting. This one will be one that I am going to finish. Quite pleased with how this turned out for my first little press, canvas on canvas. Not sure. We'll see. Maybe I'll practice my varnishing with this, my cleaning and varnishing with this one first to make sure that I don't mess this one up. I'll see how this one comes out with my varnish. I have several different types of varnish. I do want to test out a spray varnish to see how that comes out, so I'll probably test that on this one just to see how it comes out. I'm sorry, I think the mailman is here. So they are My little doggies are up in arms over that. Very happy with how these turned out. They are completely dry. However, I did those on what date? On the 24th of May. So it's not yet been 14 days. I have to wait, make sure it's all cured, completely dry. It's still pretty taut here. So there we have our first press paint. I'm really getting into the bubble wrap, guys. I'm going to do that next. I did a couple of small bubble presses, the small bubble wrap, very fine bubble wraps, and now I have some standard size bubble wrap that I'm going to try. So look forward to that.